You are a photographer. You started off doing digital work, but have started working in traditional photographic processes. How did it all happen? What made you kind of go into the world of photography?
So, I guess you could say I've been doing photography since I was a little kiddo. I actually got introduced to it in sixth grade by my really good, well, the photography teacher who has left the biggest impression on my life so far, Mr. Zarba. And I started off with traditional and then kind of like let that go for a little while. And then came back to digital because it became more accessible and more easy to do than buying film, developing it, and doing all that other stuff. And then I've seen myself transition back into traditional because it's allowed me to kind of like use it to tell truths and also, in a sense, talk about things that are not necessarily true in photography. I don't know, people are always quick to say that photography, an image tells 1,000 words and all these other things. But sometimes those 1,000 words are like the most 1,000 worst words or like the worst truth or like, basically all the negatives that you can get, you literally can throw it all in image base. And I feel that we're very much so in a visual culture now that we need to be very careful about what kind of images we produce and what kind of visual type of things we do. So yeah, photography is my way of kind of allowing me to tell truths, but also kind of like point out like, yo, that over there might not be so true. Let's investigate that a little bit.
And so, as you know, we're here because you're a part of the Lise Curry art collection. Do you remember the first piece that she collected from you, and sort of what was the process and the history behind the piece?
So Lise has been very, very supportive. They are actually like the first person who's like collected a piece of mine. So it's been very exciting and very much so validating and knowing that I'm like on the right path as an artist. But they're also very, I want to say, supportive in a way that is very much so can be unheard of for people in the art world, especially artists living in New York where you struggle on a day-to-day basis just to like, eat food, pay rent, maybe if you're lucky have a space to work out of, knock on wood, very, very, very blessed and privileged. But yeah, they very much so push for artists to be comfortable in what they're doing and have the opportunity to continue what they're doing, which is very, in a way, breaking the cycle of what the art world can very much so be known for.
Almost like an anomaly.
Yeah, literally. She's breaking that whole members only club and kind of like showing people that anybody can be attracted to art, anybody can own art, anybody can have art. It's just about making that important to you and making it a thing that you do. Like, you don't have to talk about it, you can do it. Like, so.
Yeah, you don't have to be a part of a specific group to enjoy a piece of artwork. You don't have to collect a certain type of art. If it speaks to you, you're connected to it. And so the first piece that she brought from you was a photograph of portals, I believe.
So the first photograph she brought for me was, it's called Shot, and it's of a friend who, her basically artistic practice is to go around and make spiritual portals around the city and in like different galleries and stuff. So they combine a word like text with flowers and plants and basically really connecting a lot of these quotes and statements that they make with the earth. I like met them. I've known them for a while, and I was basically like, yo, we have to make some magic together. So they came to my house, and I thought they were gonna make a portal in my house, but they ended up making themselves into the actual portal, which was really cool. And yeah, they just basically had this way of kind of like showing a calmness, a spirituality, like basically aura feeling that art should make you feel some type of way, and I feel like she was able to do that, and I think that's really what kind of anchored Liz on that. Like Lise, like she really, really liked, I think, the colors and the feeling that the image gave, and I think that people need to remember, like, that's why also you invest in art, because of the feeling that it gives you, and the fact that it can change your whole environment,
Yeah, and so the piece that Shaw was almost sort of a documentation of a portal, and you know, the mirror on the wall is this connection that we have to our art. And so, do you see almost like the photograph itself? You know, even though you're documenting a portal, the photograph itself is a portal in a way?
I think so. The photograph can be definitely a portal to take you somewhere else for a second, to bring some type of calmness to you, or maybe just connect you to a part of spirituality that you didn't even know existed within yourself, and just remembering that, you know, we are those portals, so we can definitely use that in a good way or a bad way. So yeah.
And does that sort of theme work in your other portraiture work or your other photographs as well?
In a way, I want you to, a lot of the new work that I'm doing is very based off of like history and photography, and, you know, time, like places or points in time where like representation wasn't what it should have been. So I kind of want to, my photography, I kind of want it to be a portal for you to kind of get a glimpse into the real life of what, you know, people who've been left out of the main narrative, what their lives would have been like, and really giving space to black bodies, trans bodies, people who are gender nonconforming, and just overall like minorities who've always been left out, especially, you know, in on gallery walls and things like that. So
of course, yeah, it's sort of the time to show that they've always been there.
Mm-hmm.
And so you work in a range of photographic processes. Which ones have you been working with lately or plan to work with that really help carry on that history and what you want to do with your work?
So I've been like dabbling in trying to learn as much as I can. I'm doing wet plate collodion right now, specifically ambrotypes, which are glass plate negatives, and tintypes, which used to be on tin but now on aluminum. I also have worked with gum bichromate, which is kind of like a watercolor type of painterly print making process. Cyanotypes, which is using the sun. Van Dyke, which is also using the sun. And I just like anything, like you said, that has process to it, that I can basically see point A to point B to point C, and my hand basically reflects things, but doesn't change the overall story that I'm trying to show. Like, I still want my subjects to be very much so the most important part and not like the process.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm understanding that the process is also, you know, I gotta give myself a little bit of credit. But yeah.
Well, in a way, you have this very literal hand in telling a story, because all these processes are very hands-on. You know, everything's from scratch. Do you feel that, you know, carrying these stories, is it almost a way for you to share your own history?
Yeah, it's been a way for me to like also just delve into my history. I feel like as I'm first generation Afro Latinx American in this country. My mom came from Colombia, my dad's from Panama. So a lot of stories that I should know about family, I don't. So a lot of this has been me using this medium to investigate things within my own cultural background, within my own identity, gender identity, sexual identity, the whole 9 yards. So it's been very like affirming and very also just, you know, important to me, because I know that if I can kind of try to figure out my story, maybe I can help somebody else figure out theirs.
Mm-hmm. Is there any new projects that you're working on at the moment?
Yeah, I'm working on a project based on, which is really special to me, based on drag kings and male impersonators from the early 1900s, specifically because that was a time where things were so segregated, but also things were very much so more open, and people can express themselves a little bit more than, and not to say that than they do now, but it's just the way it was allowed is very much so different than it is now. And I think it's important for us to understand our history, especially right now. This is 50 years after Stonewall. It's World Pride. It's all this, and I think people need to learn about their queer ancestors to understand that, you know, we're very much so in places of privilege right now, where we can, you know, see ourselves or just express ourselves the way we want to. So yeah, I'm basically honoring these folk that came before me, and I'm very interested to just give people a glimpse into their lives.